So, Bill O'Brien has just been fired, or he's fired like an hour ago or something like that, and maybe 2 hours, depending on when this video comes out. But yeah, he's been fired. Here are my thoughts to it. So first off, I've covered a lot of it in a video I made like 3 hours ago. I didn't know that he was gonna get fired today. I figured they would keep him, but I mean, he definitely should have been. I mean, no one deserves to be fired, but I mean, he wasn't doing a good job. And so he's fired basically because of poor run defense, and that horrible Hopkins trade. Those are just two things that come to mind. There's plenty of other stuff. I would say one positive for Texans fans out there: you still have Deshaun Watson locked up for 4 years. A contract negotiation that was negotiated this past offseason. But that deal was kind of a no-brainer. So yeah, you don't really credit Bill O'Brien on that one. That was just kind of, you have to do those. But in this video, I'm kind of going to give out some candidates to replace him at the head coaching level and the general manager level. So yeah, number one candidate that I have, and who I predict will, or I think should get the job in Texas or in Houston, is Robert Saleh. He's the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. I just think he's the best head coaching candidate out there, and especially with the Houston's troubles on defense this year, they could definitely use him. I guess his coordinating on defense is really good. Last year, obviously the 49ers had a lot of talent on defense last year, but they finished second in yards allowed, or second least allowed in yards, with 201 yards allowed, which is second best in the league, or second lowest in the league. That's kind of confusing, just because usually if you have a low one, that means you could be lowest. But yeah, whatever. I'm getting off a ramble here. But yeah, Robert Saleh, he's a really good choice for a head coaching spot. Another guy that could possibly, I think, could do well as the Texans head coach would be Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson are kind of similar. I'm not going to argue who's better. In my opinion, it's Lamar, but I feel like that's a topic for another day, and I feel like that's somewhat arguable. But back to Greg Roman. He's been the Ravens offensive coordinator for 2 years. He's also really good at the ground game. You've David Johnson for another year, and maybe you want to get the most out of him because you did trade Hopkins for him. So you take Roman, who's very good with running backs, and he could probably get the most out of David Johnson. Now, before I get into my final and third candidate for the head coaching job, I'm going to go quickly about Eric Bieniemy. He definitely deserves some consideration for the job. I'm just not going to talk about him extensively because I already talked about him in the Jets video about when the Jets relieve Adam Gase of head coaching duties. They should hire Eric Bieniemy. Talked about his skills and strengths, all that stuff in the Jets video. Go check it out. But yeah, he definitely deserves some consideration. But let's get into Nick Sirianni. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name right. This is kind of my sleeper candidate. Just if Phillip Rivers kind of stays where he is right now, where he's still pretty good. The Colts are doing well. If the Colts are doing well, late in the season they make the playoffs, all the other stuff, maybe advance a round or two, I could definitely see him getting some consideration for this Texans job if it is not filled by then. But it probably will not be filled by then. Bill O'Brien was also their acting GM as well, and he was fired from that position as well, so they got to fill that position too. It's going to be pretty hard, or less appealing for potential GMs to take it, just because they're not going to have their first round pick or second round pick this year. That belongs to the Dolphins in the Laramie Tunsil trade. Also, they have the biggest cap number this year with 225. NFL cap, it doesn't really matter that much. You can always try to find money. But yeah, it's not a good situation right now from a front office perspective. First candidate I want to talk about is Mike Borsuzzo. I believe I'm pronouncing that name right. Borsuzzo. He is the Chiefs director of Mike Borsuzzo. He's been in the Chiefs front office for at least 9 years. He knows this stuff. It's amazing how much of the Chiefs staff they've been able to keep after they won that championship last year. But I mean, I think he's the number one candidate, or one of the top candidates when it comes to picking a GM in 2020. Second and final candidate I will bring up for GM job of the Texans is Riddick. I mean, a little bit about his resume. He played in the NFL for a while, played for the Raiders and the Steelers. Was a really good football player. He was a scout a little bit. He was a scout for 3 years for the Raiders. And then he went on ESPN, and for a while there, he's been on ESPN. And I mean, whenever I hear this guy, on NFL Live or First Take, I really think it's smart, and he's definitely got the resume to back it up. So I think Riddick would be a good candidate for the Texans job. That's all I really got in this video today. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.